Hey, Chris Manning here from the Locked On Cavs podcast. Coming up on today's show, Evan Dammarell and I are going to talk about the Cavs getting the number 3 pick in the 2021 draft, as well as some Cavs Team USA news, which is a sentence I didn't expect to say this summer. Today's episode is brought to you by Spotify Green Room. Download the app and join Evan and I, next week, but we did one last night. You can check it out in the feed right now if you want to get an idea of what some of our Green Rooms will be like and get in on the action. Spotify Green Room, changing the way that we talk about sports. Evan, Tuesday night, big night for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Mm-hmm. According to Koby Altman, the Gilberts are on a nice vacation in parts unknown. Good for them.
They're on like Michigan or something. I don't know.
I think according to Instagram, they're at like in Iceland, I think. Well, it's international. He said international. I was listening during the press conference, buddy.
I'm joking, and I thought it was funny. Kobe's like, you could look it up on Instagram to see where they're at, but he's
honestly, we'll get into the Kobe of it all because that was quite a very Kobe
because
press
you
conference.
Stole my thunder.
I was ready. I was on my game. Not going to ask about bow ties.
And then I literally like raised my hand once. I think Marla asked about it, or somebody hinted at maybe trading the pick, and no one really did. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to ask that. And then I'm like, I'll ask about Team USA.
He talked about it without talking about it, I think.
Yeah.
He's not like, you know what I mean? Like,
no,
that's one of those things.
I think I pulled the quote from it during the presser, but he more or less said like this draft pick, the 3rd overall pick in the 2021 NBA draft, is going to shape a lot of the roster decisions and rotations going forward.
Yeah.
And I think that's saying without saying that Colin Sexton's on the trade block. And I think a lot of players are available because they can improve this roster, because Kobe really stressed that at this position they're in, Cleveland can draft a future all-star. And this is going to be the player that they shape their identity around going forward.
Yeah. Let's get back to Kobe. So they go up from 5 to 3. The coin flip ultimately works out. Justin Rowan, salute to you for the Kevin Love, having that Kevin Love WWE title belt photo just ready to fire off the tweet. I really respect it. The bit is just immaculate. This was just like a win night for the Cavs. Like we'll see what they do with it. We'll see what the summer holds. There's just like a lot out there that like people can like get mad at us and tell me to like cut off my fingers or whatever. With like what's going on with the team and like with Sexton, like I some of that stuff is just like out in the ether, and like it's what is they're discussing. And like you can, last night I thought the two most notable things were obviously getting the number 3 pick, which we can talk about names and stuff, but also something I want to say for Team USA, which is Koby Altman like going out of his way to praise Darius Garland in a way I can't remember him doing in his like 2 media availabilities before. Like I asked him the Kevin Love Team USA question because I wanted to know what he thought about it. Gave a good answer, gave a good quote about it, and I think like pretty summed up like our take on it. And then he's like, by the way, just so you know, Darius Garland's playing on Team USA Select. But we're gonna come. Let's put a pin in it.
Do you think Kobe knows you talk mad crap about him, and that's why he shared that little nugget with you?
No, I was actually pretty happy they put me in the queue. You know, they put me up in the queue a little bit.
They put both of us in the queue, but I took myself.
But I wasn't like, I was ahead of like people that are like, you know, are older than me or whatever. But Evan, let's talk some
Spencer
names.
Davies is the same age as you.
I'm just saying, like, have been around, like, had longer, like, usually get called on before me.
Chris,
Evan, this is not what I want to talk about. What are you doing to me today? Let's talk about names.
I'm annoyed that you don't have Joker Baby Yoda on your shelf.
It fell off. It literally was up here, and then like when I got up to open my door to fix my internet connection, it fell off.
It is cursed like Annabelle, but
yeah, 100%. This is not even the real me. This is like a doppelganger. But let's talk about some names. So it seems like Cade is obviously going to go 1. Like that athletic tweet that is out there about Jalen Green. Let me talk about it. If you read the piece, the tweet is taking that a little further than the piece actually suggests. They are, of course, going to do their homework. But when Cade Cunningham is like, the leak is not like I want to go somewhere else, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I'm only going to be with Detroit. They're going to end up taking Cade. I would be pretty surprised if Cade doesn't go 1. Like that. Like I understand like not doing groupthink. Cade just seems like the logical guy there, and we'll see if that changes. But it just seems like that's where we're headed here. I think the draft just Houston being 2 ahead of the Cavs and like some of the Jalen Green linkage there with them, and them having Christian Wood is where this makes interesting. And I don't think Cavs people that are on Twitter being like, worst case scenario is Jalen Green goes too, and like you have to like pick a center again. Like that's underselling Evan Mobley, I think. But I also I get being like, you got the third pick. Like that's just a good spot to be in. You can do something with that. That is more important than like the name you've already emotionally attached yourself to. Even though last night on our Spotify Green Room, literally everyone that we pulled for the pick was like Jalen Green. Like literally every single person in the chat and on our panel.
To be fair, I think Evan Mobley won't be available. I know the Rockets have Christian Wood, but I don't think that's going to stop them from taking Evan Mobley. Because the Rockets have some interesting pieces in KPJ, Christian Wood, and I guess Gary Trent Jr. is intriguing as well, but you need a star. And other than Cade, and we had Chad Ford on the Locked On NBA draft show.
Gary Trent Jr. is on Toronto, not Houston.
Oh, sorry, not Gary Payton. That's what I meant. This second. But either way, Chad Ford said if Cade Cunningham wasn't in this draft, Evan Mobley would be the consensus number one, because I personally hate the term unicorn. I think it's just like, you're putting a little bit too much of an onus on a young kid. But you do get those Chris Bosh vibes. You do get some Anthony Davis vibes on the defensive end. Like and he has the ability to stretch the floor. He is intriguing as a playmaker in the short roll and as a tertiary playmaker as well. Like Evan Mobley has such an interesting toolkit that you could build around that, and you don't have to start him at the 5 right away. If he does go to Cleveland, he can play the 4. And I know I say they should trade Jared Allen, because I think eventually Mobley's going to play the 5. He is skinny right now, but he will get bigger with NBA conditioning and training. But I don't think Houston's going to pass up on who I believe is the clear second best player in this draft class. And then I'm kind of just piecing through this right now, and like I'll remain on this stance. I think 3 was the second best scenario. 1, obviously, first being the best scenario because you get Cade in the best player of this draft, but you get the 3rd pick and you get whoever's left between Jalen Green and Evan Mobley. Like it's a win-win scenario for Cleveland. And now you don't have to do the hand-wringing of who should we pick, who should we not pick, because either way, you're still getting a good player. 4 is where it became a little less than ideal. And then beyond that, it just is a gradual decline.
So I think just for our conversation here, the names are Mobley, Green, and then Jalen Suggs would be the 3rd name that we're going to probably talk through, right? Like those are the 3.
Or Scottie Barnes. Scottie Barnes is starting to shoot up draft boards a bit.
3 feels like a tad high for him to me, unless like something is just crazy. But
I don't know, man. Chad Ford said last night he would not be surprised if Scottie shot all the way up to he was in consideration at 2-3.
I think that's right. I just think like there are things with him that I think are like he doesn't quite, for what Cleveland is signaling they want to do. He is not like exactly what I think they're signaling in terms of what Koby is kind of saying, and I think what you and I have kind of been talking about. But I want to just ask you a question before we go into break here. So there has been already some folks wondering like if the Cavs should trade the pick. This was like one of the discussions Jay Kyle Mann and like the Ringer crew had on like their green room after the draft, which I think Jay Kyle's like Kyle's one of like the best draft people you can follow out there, and KOC was talking about it as well. I am not a trade down person. I'm not even we'll talk about this in the Ben Simmons episode that we're going to drop tomorrow. I would not even really include the pick in like a Ben Simmons deal at this point. I think like you don't want to like ruin your infrastructure by dealing this pick. I think this is such a big pick in a lot of ways. But if like you got off for like 2 lotto picks, would you trade? Like I guess, is there any scenario where you would seriously entertain trading down from 3? Because I think I would have to be kind of like really blown away to still accomplish, I think, what you want to accomplish with this pick. Like I would rather just get the guy, and like if that, like again, like, I think you're going to see something this summer that is going to shake up the core 4 that they are like Koby did talk about, but like I wouldn't say is like locked into kind of what they're doing here.
Yeah, and I asked about this last night. They said if the pick didn't land in the top 3, they probably strongly consider trading it. But at this point, since it is 3rd, it feels like it's virtually off the table. And I'm not saying it's entirely off the table. Let's say a superstar says, I want to go play in Cleveland, and the team who approaches Cleveland says it's going to cost you the 3rd pick. I think it'd be remiss of the Cavs not to do that. But like you said, I think it's going to be more so players existing on the roster might be one of the core 4 pieces. I think Jared Allen could be an option if they really believe Evan Mobley's a 5 and they want to get some capital now and try and capitalize on his strong season, or Colin Sexton, who I know this is crazy, but I've been getting a lot of vibes and reading this everywhere. Like a lot of people who are more plugged in than we are when it comes to draft stuff. And Trevor Magnotti always gave me something handy, or said like when people are saying stuff when mock drafts are going out, at the same time, it's just I don't know what they're necessarily going to try and do, but I'm intrigued to see what happens. But yeah, I don't think they trade the pick. I think they trade Sexton first because I think that's their most valuable trade asset.
Yeah, and like again, I don't think like anyone is necessarily like untouchable. Like if there's a trade that involves DG, I wouldn't say that's like that's like something that's like in their untouchables category or whatever. But like the Windsor are suggesting that when you talk to people about like what they might do, I think Sexton is sort of more on the table. Let's say I think that's just sort of where they're at with that. But Evan, we gotta pay some bills. We gotta pay some bills. It's time. And first up is our friends at Spotify Green Room. Spotify Green Room, if you haven't downloaded it already, is it's now linked in with Spotify, but it was Locker Room before. It was the first social audio platform made for sports fans. It's free to download. And once you're in, you can talk with Evan, me, other fans, other Locked On hosts, athletes, and insiders in real time about your favorite team or sport. Again, we're going to be hosting Locked On Cavs Spotify Green Rooms every week. At least through the draft and into late summer. And you can join in on our conversations that you listen here every day. We had people that I can tell you, 2 people that downloaded the app last night. 2 whole people, which is a lot, really, frankly, that downloaded the app just to hang out with Evan and I on Spotify last night. I mean, that's what you want to see. Josh Link, Michael Drapcho, salute to you.
I wouldn't say hang out. I came in with a lot of chaotic energy and just disrupted the entire show.
It's okay. I love you anyway. You'll find fans just like you in Locker Room for watch parties, debates, post-game breakdowns, and, of course, reacting to big news or rumors. Again, we'll be back next week on there. You may see me in the dime room on there as well, but you're going to be checking us out there next week, probably Tuesday or Wednesday there on Spotify Green Room. Get the free app now on the iOS devices. Be sure to create a profile, link your Twitter, and join the NBA group with the latest league updates. Follow at CWM Rights and M.Evan to see when our rooms go live. You're not going to want to miss it. Again, we're planning to go live next week once again and check out our last Green Room in the podcast feed right now. See you there. Spotify Green Room, changing the way that we talk about sports.
Today on the road to the finals, our NBA playoffs coverage is brought to you by Michelob Ultra. It's only worth it if you enjoy it, and at 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, we can all enjoy the games a little bit more this postseason.
Okay, let's go with I think the Koby part of this, because it was good to hear from him last night. He looked very stressed on the.
Oh, yeah, he looked tired.
He looked like exhausted. What did you make of what Koby Altman had to say during his media availability?
It was a whole lot of nothing at points, but there were some interesting things I gleaned from it, like the fact that they're willing to reshape the roster. I do think he's under the gun a little bit to make a concerted effort to make the playoffs. I thought it was interesting. He walked back when he said, our goal is never to make the playoffs this season. It was to reevaluate things. And I think somebody said, look, that's not true. I'm like, actually, no. Koby said this is an evaluation period. He just likes the energy coming from Colin Sexton to say they want to make the playoffs. And JB Bickerstaff just backed Colin on that one. And so did some of the other players. So it's more of a Colin Sexton thing. But I think Koby knows what he needs to do. I think the fact that he was pretty surprised, I think, that they got the 3rd pick. And the fact that now that they're sitting in that position, they can schedule a lot of meetings and interviews and possibly workouts with a lot of these top prospects to get acquainted with them. And I'm intrigued to see what happens, man. I mean, that jump back, trading the pick, if the Cavs traded up, that would make more sense. But yeah, that's my only other thing. I thought Koby. I got the vibe he really wants to get one of the top players in this draft, because he genuinely believes, and I do too, that maybe the top 3 to 4 players are all-star caliber players.
Yeah, I don't want to be super hammy in framing it in this way, because I think the one of some of the stuff I've read today, that the writing up the Kobe thing was very hammy about how we're doing this. Honestly, don't just call me a piece of crap, whatever. The bow tie stuff, whatever. doesn't really matter to me too much. But what I think is just telling about what Altman said was the stuff he said about All-Star stuff, the stuff he said about like how they kind of want to build this. It just seems like that if like, yes, the move is like likely not to be the trade, but I also just thought like if you read between the lines of what he's saying a little bit, it's not that like the pick is like completely off the table. It is that like it is going to take a lot of value to get this pick out of their hands and for them to do something with it. It doesn't involve taking Evan Mobley, Jalen Green, Jalen Suggs, whomever. Like there is a very clear thing there with me where it's like I think he's like, this is an extremely valuable chip for us. We need to do something significant with it, and I think like for if we're gonna put ourselves in Kobe's very nice wine blazer for a second, like this is a move that could shape his job in a lot of ways. Like if this pick doesn't work out, if what they do with the pick does not work out, like he's going to be the fall guy for this. Like that is where we're at, and that's where he's at in his tenure, it seems. So. Like I think this is obviously a very, very big moment. I think this is the pick that is going to define his legacy in a lot of ways. I think it's a really good spot. There may be like cleaner, like more obvious fits if you get down to like of what to do if you get down to 6 and 7. But like I think you're going to see roster change. I think you're going to see something. I think you're going to see stuff that is like not insignificant. Like I would not be surprised if like you get like McBuckets and like this pick and like some other kind of like a legit older backup point guard to kind of like be this thrust, and then like they go, okay, we're gonna make a push for whatever the play into the playoffs next year. I think that's sort of where we're headed here, and I think this pick is the absolute thrust of this offseason.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. All the decisions after this are going to be shaped after the draft in July. Like, and free agency obviously starts immediately or soon after, I should say. There's a lot of variables and questions. What are they going to do with Colin Sexton? Are they going to sign Jared Allen to an extension? And Sexton's extension also falls with that. What are they going to do? Is Kevin Love going to get traded? Because you're hoping that the Team USA thing, which we'll talk about next segment, he shows out and then he becomes a tradable asset, because at the end of the day, I don't think any contract is truly untradeable. You can find a way, but the Cavs might have to attach some picks to it. Sam Presti, our lines are open. But
look, the Sam Presti is going to like, at some point he's gonna be like, I'm offering 900 picks for whatever. Like it's just I like commend them for trying to do it that way in some ways, but it's also just like you're literally never gonna use all those picks.
It's the long con. He's gonna trade all those picks to Brooklyn out of pure spite and get Kevin Durant back. And just say, I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me, the Sam Presti story. But
oh my God.
At the same time, yeah, like this draft situation, like let's say Evan Mobley is the pick. I think you change the calculus there with Jared Allen, and maybe you try to move Kevin Love as well, because you have way too many big men on the roster then, and you want to play your third overall pick plenty of minutes and possibly start him too. If they take Jalen Green, I think then you have the conversation. It's an awkward one. If Colin doesn't feel comfortable coming off the bench or doesn't want to be the sixth man for this team, you approach a team and say, hey, what do you want for Colin Sexton? Because I think the Cavs could possibly get like a mid to late first rounder this year for Colin if they really tried. Because Colin, I think, would be really good as a player for a few contenders as well, because you can limit some of the ball dominance and such too. Because, I don't know. I'm not of the mentality that if you remove Donovan Mitchell and plugged Colin Sexton in, you get similar production, but you get good production. But at the same time, yeah, it's just the draft stuff is going to be really interesting. Like we're kind of slow cruising it for a bit. The combine stuff, like for the media, starts up tomorrow because we're recording this today on Wednesday, and I'll be part of it, and I'll be trying to become buddy with Jalen Green. Evan Mobley's not there though. Cade Cunningham's not there, so it'll be interesting to see what happens next. But it all really does start with the draft.
The other thing I'll just say is Kobe said, this is, I think, the most standout quote from what he had to say. Quote, it's hard to project anything. You can't say with 100% certainty that someone is going to be an all-star, but when you go through drafts, the first thing you looking for is that superstar. Then you're looking at an all-star. Is there an all-star where we're picking? Then is there a starter? Why people are so excited about this draft, even beyond the top 5, there could be potential all-stars. The other thing that he said was that he basically said like they got to see a lot of these guys in person, which like was not the case really in the lead up to last year.
No. He said this year they couldn't see a lot of players in person because of like
I thought
arenas and everything.
I generally might not be like I thought they saw them in the bubble. Oh, you're right. They saw like last year, weird process, but they got like 75% of the season for like the college guys, and this year it's like obviously much more limited.
Yeah, it's mostly watching tape and chatting with coaches and scouts and stuff.
Yeah. Yes. You're right. None of my not gonna need. I clearly need to drink more coffee out of my locked on.
Yeah, clearly you were listening to Koby.
Well, sometimes I ask that question, and then sometimes when I ask a question, I like fake black out for like 5 seconds.
That's fair. That happens to me sometimes where I'm just like, my mouth just starts going and I don't know what I'm saying. And Colin Sexton asks me to speak up. So it's all good.
Look, man, social anxiety. We love you. Anyway, Evan, let's take another break here. It's time to everyone of our friends at Built Bar. So Built Bar, as everyone I think knows by now, if you've listened to the pod or watched here in WKYC, it's the best tasting protein bar ever. Just no doubts about it. Coconut almond, cherry, raspberry, mint brownie, peanut butter brownie, double chocolate, and salted caramel are their 9 main flavors. There's something for everyone, no matter what kind of flavor you like. My favorite flavor, they just restocked the cookies and cream. That's not one we named there, but like you should get that protein bar. It's a pretty darn good protein bar. If you haven't tried all the flavors, you can also get a mix box, and you get 2 of each of the 9 flavors to try them all. Most of the flavors have 17 grams of protein, only 130 calories, only 4 grams of sugar, and only 4 grams of net carbohydrates. Order today. Get that raspberry, that mint brownie, or whatever you like. Go to BuiltBar.com and use the promo code LOCKED15. Yes, that's locked, LOCKED 15, and you'll get 15% off your first order. Again, promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at BuiltBar.com.
Today's episode of Locked On Cavs is also brought to you by Bet Online, the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your sports action. Baseball season is in full swing, and you can track all the action at Bet Online. Get all the latest news, odds, and info for your sporting needs, including the MLB, NBA, NHL, and all of your UFC, MMA action. Before the next pitch, head over to Bet Online on your laptop or mobile device and check out all the great sporting news, sign-up bonuses, and contest information. Do not sit on the sidelines anymore, as this is your chance to get into the games as teams prep for their runs to the playoffs and a possible championship. Head to their website or use your mobile device now to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit, but only if you use the promo code LOCKEDON. Bet Online, your online sportsbook experts.
All right, Evan, let's talk about Team USA. Do you want to start with Darius Garland, or do you want to start with Kevin Love?
Let's start with where you stole my thunder, Darius Garland.
I didn't steal your thunder.
I'm teasing, but no, I
asked a Kevin Love question, and Koby Altman just divulged that to us.
I know. It's pretty cool. There's going to be 3 Cavaliers possibly at Team USA. I don't know what Jared Allen's going to do yet. I heard he does not want to do Team USA with Tokyo. He was extended an invite, and he said no thank you, and it's because of his pending free agency. He doesn't want to risk injury playing non-paid basketball right now. But Kevin Love will be going. Darius Garland will be part of the select team, so it's kind of cool to have 3 Cavaliers in the fold there. And I don't know, the Kevin Love news is surprising, but the Darius one, not so surprising. I think his star is rising. I think this was season 1.5 with like 0.5 being his rookie season. Like we finally got to see like a full-ish season of Darius, and I'm excited to see what the future holds. And I think this is only going to be beneficial for his growth and development.
Yeah, I think this is good. I think obviously it's a sign that the broader basketball community, so to speak, is seeing something in him. It's what I think Koby was right about that. I think it's just going to be a good experience for him to get around, to, like, just to be there for that little bit. Like, he's obviously not going to go to Tokyo. Like, I don't know if I think like he has like chance. Like, I'm not here to like prognosticate like what his chances are of being on like an Olympic team in the next cycle or whatever. Like, I don't really know if like how that'll shake out. But I think like him being on a select team, getting to go these workouts in the summer, get like some really, really high level 5-on-5 basketball is just really good for him. It's been a weird 2 years. This is obviously like, he's never played Summer League, never will play Summer League. This is like a very good example for him to get in those environments and learn. Like, I mean, if you remember, Kyrie getting involved in these was one of the things that really, I think, elevated him, and he got to interact with Kobe and interact with Bron a little bit, interact with some like veteran guys. And it was something that helped Kyrie, and he talked about how it helped him.
Yep.
I'm not really surprised about the Kevin Love of this, to be honest with you. This had been sort of out there a little bit that this was kind of a possibility for a couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. His agent announced it through Woj yesterday. And just so everyone knows the Jared Allen part of it, Kyle Lowry is another player that's got offered, is going into free agency, and is not going to go to Tokyo for those reasons, which I think is Kevin Love did this in 2014. Kevin Love has not played for Team USA proper in 9 years is the thing that I think it's been since 2012, because in 2014 he does not play due to the Wiggins stuff. I think him and LeBron both declined invites in 2016, if I'm remembering correctly, after the finals and everything like that. Because Kyrie played, that's when he had they partied on the yacht and people got mad at him for reasons that you can go look up, which are very funny. Not necessarily funny, but very Kyrie. And then
was that when Zika
Kevin
was
Love, I think
highest?
Maybe.
No, it wasn't Zika. It was
Kehlani?
Zika. No, it was Zika. No, the virus, the Zika virus.
Oh, no. I'm talking about him partying on the yacht with
in
I'll
Rio.
tell you off. Yeah, but there's a reason some people online got mad at him. I'll tell you. I'll text it to you, and you can laugh, and then we can talk about it on air. I'm not talking about that on air. I totally forgot about the Zika virus, to be honest with you. Just totally COVID has just warped my brain. This is I think a win-win for the Cavs and Kevin Love, because Kevin Love is going to need to go, and he's going to get to shoot a bunch of threes and play alongside the world's best creators and look awesome. He's going to look awesome if he's healthy, right?
Oh, Kevin Love's game is tailor-made for international hoops. He's going to play the 5. He's not going to enjoy it that much, but he's going to be coming off the bench like Carmelo did back in the 2012 Olympics or 2012 Olympics, where Carmelo just absolutely torched people off the bench. And like you said, Kevin Love's going to look great, and he has had a noticeable drop-off in quality of teammates around him since Kyrie was traded and LeBron left. So, it'll be fun. Plus, he can get familiar with Dame Lillard, which is always helpful. It can really grease the wheels to get him to Portland, Well,
this is the thing. It's the thing with him in this is that he is this is a chance for him to go look really good. Because if you saw the reaction to this, a lot of people are like Kevin, it's a fair to wonder, is Kevin Love a top 50 player at this point? I think that's a very fair discussion about where we're at with Kevin right now. I don't know why, if what I said or what I texted you is why you're acting that way, and I hope it's yes. Yes. I'll look. This is a Kevin Love potential quick turnaround rehab value. That's part. I'm saying if he looks really good and Dame has a really good experience, and there's just a way this stuff can kind of grease the wheels behind the scenes a little bit. Secondly, it's also just good for him to play 5-on-5 basketball.
Yeah.
He has not played a ton of basketball in the last 3 years.
The only risk you run is him possibly getting injured, and I think you play limited minutes on Team USA. All 12 players play meaningful basketball on that team, so he'll play 10, 15, possibly 20 minutes some nights. So I don't know. I think he'll come off the bench. I don't think he'll start because Bam's going as well, and I think you start Adebayo and Draymond together, and then you kind of tinker that a little bit, and then you just watch Dame go nuclear from the perimeter. This is going to be a fun squad. It's going to be a lot better than last time Pop coached the Olympics.
Better than the World Cup squad too.
Yeah. Man, do you remember when Kyrie was on the World Cup squad and he won Most Outstanding Player? Him and Harden were just absolutely destroying people. That was such fun basketball.
Team USA, when it's cooking, is really fun. I think there's games where you could see Kevin start. They'll rotate out a little bit, and he might just
I think Pop will be cognizant of not overtaxing certain players too.
Yeah. Well, because you're gonna have you might have Booker going from the finals basically to Tokyo, which is
Chris Paul.
Chris Paul's not going.
Oh, he's not now?
No, he got in Woj. There was the Woj Shams conflicting reports, and Woj was correct. Here's the roster as of right now. I'm confirmed to be playing. I think this is so Dame Lillard, Draymond Green, Jason Tatum, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Bam Adebayo, James Harden, Chris Middleton, Kevin Love, and Drew Holiday.
Yeah, I see.
And players that have ruled themselves out. that aren't going to play would be Lowry, Chris Paul, Donovan Mitchell, Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, Anthony Davis, LeBron James. There are a ton of finalists. They include Jared Allen, who you've reported isn't going to go. Jeremy Grant is a notable name.
Well, they only have one. They only have one roster spot left.
Correct. So like maybe it goes to like a Zion. Like maybe it goes to
Cade.
Could go to Cade, could go to maybe DeRozan or Joe Harris. Like you're gonna whatever it is. Like
2012 when Anthony Davis was like not even drafted yet, and they added him to the roster.
Yeah, and then obviously most famous examples like Leitner going on the Dream,
the
Dream Team, like
but
way back in the 90s.
It's not uncommon for Team USA to use their last roster spot on the best collegiate player from the season prior.
Who's the funniest player that could put as a 12 spot? Because I have an answer for this.
Andre Drummond.
Oh, that's funnier. I was going to say
he can embarrass the Lakers on a national stage, then he can embarrass the United States on an international stage.
Oh,
what a year for Andre!
Create some great content. Just do some great vlogs from Tokyo.
And he is a candidate still because he's still in the pool.
Yeah. So is Brooke Lopez. Plumlee's a candidate. Miles Turner, although I doubt he'll play due to the injury. You got some options there. Yeah, JaVale McGee's in the pool according to this list I'm looking down on CBS.
Oh, that is true. It was JaVale.
Put
Kevin,
JaVale
Jarrett,
on
and Andre.
the Olympic team. Let's go, JaVale. I want Olympic JaVale.
I do too. Olympic gold medalist JaVale McGee and former Cleveland
Olympic
Cavaliers
gold medalist
legend
and noted crypto enthusiast and stock trader JaVale McGee.
Him and Torian Prince, man. God, I'd love that Torian to talk about stocks and crypto one day.
Lamar Stevens is also like somewhat into like investment according to his Instagram. Who knew? Anyway,
diamond hands, baby.
Must be that great Penn State education that he got, because obviously Bill D. Flip also just really big into the bonds. Anyway, that is going to be it for today's show. Thanks again to Built Bar, to Bet Online, to Spotify Green Room for sponsoring this show. Thanks to all the great sponsors. We'll be back tomorrow to talk about everyone's most coveted piece this summer, Ben Simmons. Brian Toporek, I did a mock negotiation with him, so that'll be as the last thing of the show. But Evan and I are just going to talk about Ben Simmons for 20-something minutes and figure that out a little bit. But again, the Cavs are picking third overall. Jalen Green, Evan Mobley, Jalen Suggs, probably the three names we need to think about the most. We'll probably get some great guests on to break down these guys and break down this whole draft and see where the Cavs are going to go from here. It's a little over a month away. It's going to be a quick sprint to it, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you're tuned in. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Evan. For Evan, this has been Lockdown Cavs for Wednesday, June 23rd. Back tomorrow again, talking about Ben Simmons. Talk to you then.